Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 611 for the week of Monday, April 8th, 2024. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Rock Sager.
Kevin.
Toby.
Lane.
Hey, Lane is here. Hello, Lane.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hi.
Good. Excellent. Toby, mute yourself if you're eating. If you're not eating, unmute yourself. You can also not mute yourself and eat on microphone. People love hearing people's mouth.
Well, that's generally you guys.
Slapping noises.
That's generally you and Brock, not me, man.
What?
I
Muting?
usually just have to watch my F words.
Well, that's fine. No, I'm just a water sipper during the podcast. You just hear me slurping on that water.
Yeah, drink
Hey,
tea.
so we're gonna do something totally different tonight and report news with no stupid opinions.
It's like a site like justcomicnews.com.
Exactly. If only someone would make that amazing website, it'd be
I
really
wish they
cool.
would. I've heard great things.
Just news, no opinions.
Can't you get like Chat GPT or AI to do it for you at this point?
We have like a normal stupid podcast after, but something happened the past couple of weeks that I feel we need to talk about. And so I'm going to get it out of the way up front because it is news. We do cover news, comic news on this podcast, just comic news, by the way. And I thought this was worth mentioning. I'm actually glad we didn't record last week because I feel like the conversation may have gone a very slightly different direction. I do feel obligated as someone runs the store and does the podcast to talk briefly about Ed Piskor, a comic artist who committed suicide last week. It's not a great topic, not a great conversation.
No.
If you're unfamiliar with this, count yourself lucky, I guess. But I'd like to provide some context and then move on from the conversation. If you are part of the greater internet social media, I have mostly left Twitter, but of course, when a large event happens like this, it is sometimes worth checking in because a lot of people are still on there. I don't use YouTube, but I was sent many links from customers and friends of like, this is fucking terrible. You have to watch this. And last week can be described only as a shit show. I don't have another phrase for it. It was just a really bad week for comics. And I kind of am gonna leave any personal stuff, any personal opinions out of this. Give you guys a little bit of info, and we're gonna move on to the rest of our stupid podcast. But like I said, I think it's worth talking about. So. And again, I'm not trying to like downplay this. I think it's a very important story, but after reading thousands of takes and comments and podcasts and YouTube channels and endless arguments, I'm like I said, I'm glad we're talking about it now with a little bit of distance behind us because a lot of stuff has been said and a lot of stuff from a lot of people can't be taken back. So I think it's, it's been a wild week in comics. That's all I'm going to say. Go poke around the internet if you really want to find out, what everyone thinks about this. But about 2.5 weeks ago or so, it was right before we recorded our last episode. We didn't talk about it all that time. A couple young women came out accusing Ed Piskor, who's a comic writer and artist, does a YouTube channel, Cartoonist Kayfabe. He did X-Men and Hulk Grand Design for Marvel.
No, Hulk is Jim Rugg.
Oh, sorry. Jim Rugg is his guy, right? He did X-Men Grand Design.
X-Men.
Jim Rugg is the other guy, Cartoonist Kayfabe. He did the other part. Red Room, a horror anthology for Fantagraphics. Hip Hop Family Tree was kind of like his big breakup book a number of years ago. Won an Eisner. What an Eisner? Nominated for an Eisner? Did he win? I thought he won. At least nominated.
Yeah.
I have to go back and look. Anyway, not important. Couple young women came out and had accused him of inappropriate comments to them, solicitation, requesting sexual favors. One of them at the time was underage. She was 17. So, not a great look. This led to, as it usually does, a pretty strong backlash against him and Jim Rugg, who does cartoonist kayfabe with him. I say midweek, not this past week, but the week prior. Rugg came out and basically just disassociated himself with Ed Piskor, and the channel got locked and comments got turned off, and he had left his channel, and social media was silent. And usually when this type of things happen, it's like, okay, well, here's the accusations. Well, something will happen, or it won't, and we'll just kind of go on from here. Monday morning, myself and everyone else in the comic industry woke up to, and I got a couple messages from people about this. Woke up to a suicide note so this past Monday, a week prior from today, on Ed Piskor's Facebook page, and this was a very long. This wasn't like a cry for help. This was a kind of like, if you are reading this, I'm already dead. Here's what to do with everything. Here's all the money I have on me, all my accounts, what to do with my entire life, everything I'm leaving behind. This wasn't like, oh, he's going to pick up the phone. And it's pretty rough. As of the last time I checked, it's still up. If for some reason you want to read it, it's rough. It's real rough. In his reply, he basically either denies or kind of rebuttals those women's claims that it was it didn't come off right. It wasn't how it sounded. He had a bunch of he kind of gave his side of the story, and a couple hours later they found him dead. He committed suicide. So as the internet does, everyone has a take. That's not great. And it just kind of, it's a really bad week for comics. That's why I said I think it's worth talking about, just because, again, we cover news. This is a not minor event in comics. But yeah, pretty rough. If you ignore social media, you didn't know any of this, so good on you. It's the right time to be off social media this past week, for sure. If you're a fan, I'm sure you've heard about this. If you're not a fan, maybe you have no idea who this guy is. It's worth looking into. It's interesting. Not really my thing, but interesting. He did some interesting stuff. Fantagraphics had like a small comment about it. I don't think Marvel said anything. I can't imagine Marvel would comment on it. Lots of creators sort of weighed in on every side on whether they're angry at him or felt bad for the women or supported him. All sides. Like I said, a lot of different opinions. So. Look into it. Just some articles. Bless you. Comics Beat did a big kind of breakdown of the reports that had been out there before his suicide, and obviously a lot of places have covered that. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna I want to leave a lot of personal comments out of this, just because it's better to. The internet has sort of dealt with this the past week. I don't want to continue this. So it happened. It is now done, at least for now. I can't imagine. I don't know what happens next. But Jim Rugg, probably not in a great place. I'm not sure what his what his next plan is, or Cartoons Kayfabe. I'm not sure what their plan is to continue the YouTube channel. So, yep, go about your day, go look up this stuff, or don't. You're probably better off not read, especially reading that note. I read it because it was linked to it. It was like, this is it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is not just 2 sentences. This is pages and pages, and it's pretty brutal. So, I suggest not reading it. But if you want to, it's probably still out there. And that's that. And that's I don't, like I said, I don't really want to go on too much more. we will go on to our normal dumb podcast and we normally record here. But sorry to start on such a downer, but it's big news. We've lost a lot of comic people, and suicide and depression's no joke, especially in the artistic field. So it's a pretty heavy topic, and obviously, if you're having thoughts, there's ways to get help out there. So please,
there's
get yourself
hotlines and all that stuff, and
reach out to people before you make pretty drastic decisions,
or even just reach out to that friend that you might not have heard from in a little while.
Yeah,
see how they're doing. Go get a coffee.
Unlike comic books, I don't think there's any coming back. So it's bad times all around. But what's not a bad time will be the remainder of this wonderful, goofy, dumb podcast we do.
That is now 13 years old.
It is.
We skipped over our anniversary.
Yeah, it was last week.
It was like the end of March. It's always the end of March.
Yeah.
13 years, baby.
Anniversaries usually work that way. It's usually the same time every year. So yeah, we'll move on. I did appreciate all the Eclipso jokes today. Thank you to the internet for that. That was a good reprieve. If you do not own a copy of Eclipso with the gem,
I hate that cover
glued to the forehead, it's my favorite comic of all time.
I hate that thing.
Make sure you pull out your copy in honor of the Eclipse today.
Do you just put it in a top loader? Like, is that just how you file that? Like,
just goes in a bag and board like everything else. With that little gem jamming to the book in front of it,
You mean the book behind it?
Show it what's up.
Or in front of it? Like, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know where that book goes? On top of that box inside.
You see this giant warp in the whole box because of this dumb gem they have on it. I don't know. That's my favorite. It's my favorite.
I wonder how long those things are going to actually stay on.
The one I have is still attached. I'd say 99% of the ones I see are still attached. It's pretty rare. I mean, I've seen them detached, but it's rips the cover off. That glue sticks on. Yeah. That glue stays good. So yeah.
Can't wait for CGC to process those. It was re-glued.
They won't. That is one of the few books they will not grade.
Oh, geez.
And last I checked, it was one of the few books they won't grade because it just doesn't. I don't think it fits in the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's got that, and it's got that thing stuck on the front of it. So maybe they've changed, but at one point they wouldn't grade it. Kevin, you were the only one of us to brave WonderCon this year. Toby has been waiting for your conversation about WonderCon so he can have a conversation about not going to WonderCon.
Well, to be honest, I was also very, very curious about WonderCon because I heard literally nothing about it. So, Kevin, please tell me.
We like to do a little con reports when we go, and Kevin, you've been all over the country this past year. You've been all sorts of cons. WonderCon is third this year.
Third this year, yeah.
Third this year so far. Yeah. WonderCon is weird this year. I heard nothing.
Yeah.
Even to a week, 2 weeks prior, 10 days prior, they still hadn't. They just announced a guest list. It was pretty small. No Marvel, no DC. Yeah. People from those companies were there, but there was just not a lot of. I mean, what's your take on WonderCon? But then, do you have any idea what the deal is?
No. Well, so this is usually one of my favorite cons over the years, and Toby, there's no fence climbing this year without you there.
I know. I disappointed.
Yeah. I would say that you guys. So Toby and Lane decided not to go. And I would say you guys made the right call. For me, this was mainly a social con. If you wanted stuff happening and big guests and things like that, that wasn't there. It was still the same convention. If you go inside, it's the same number of vendors. It's the same, those 3 halls are all still filled. But there was no, what's the word I'm looking for? New excitement, I guess is what I would say.
Con energy?
But it was still a good show. Okay. You know what I mean? But it just wasn't a show that would have been worth for you guys to go to. I'll
be honest with you, I actually really like chill cons, but it was a combination of no announcements and, a little bit low on funds that made it kind of an easy decision to go. Yeah, it was, maybe not.
Yeah, if it were still in San Francisco and you guys went up there for a day to this con, I think you would have been happy. traveling to Anaheim, I don't think would have been worth it. So I had fun. I stayed with friends, so I didn't, I just drove in each day. I wasn't right there at the convention, so I would go back and socialize, outside. I wasn't like right there at the, I walked in each day, didn't drive. I drove down there, but I didn't drive to the con each day. But I would socialize away from the convention, kind of. You know what I mean? We weren't doing the things that we usually do every year where you're at the hotel bar and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was just at a motel, same one as last year. I knew maybe like 5 people who went to this show, and I basically just hung out with them. And there wasn't a lot of like con stuff I can report. It was a fun show.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So I it's kind of a boring story because I don't really have like, oh, and then this crazy thing happened, and then this guest was there.
Not every con needs to be crazy. I mean, I actually really miss WonderCon being in SF because I enjoyed it very much as a local con that I could just drive up to every day. But since it's gone to Anaheim, it's a little bit of a cost thing, and when you don't know anything that could get you excited, it made it kind of like an easy pass on it. I mean, I really didn't want to pass on it, but it was like a combination of things, right? I personally, I'll be honest with you. I mean, you guys know because I'm in a group chat with you guys that, because of the lack of announcements, lack of creators, lack of everything. And I know the panel doesn't go up until like a week. The panel schedule doesn't go up till like a week before, but when literally there's like no announcements of guests, like less than 4 weeks up to the con, makes me really kind of question things. And I almost canceled on like, on a point of not going because of their lack of communication, if that made sense.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. And like I said, I didn't have any expectation for it. So I knew other people who were going. And like I said, I kind of stayed with them and we just did things together most of the time. I would say the guest who I was most interested in meeting because I had interviewed her but never actually met her in person was Colleen Doran. And that was so I wouldn't have said like I'm going to that con just to meet her. I probably would not have done that. But since I was already going, that was a thing where I went, oh, cool. That's something that makes me feel good about the decision to go.
Nice.
If that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But then the fun part with that was, and it's a whole story with rigmarole I don't need to go into, but I'm leaving on Sunday. I didn't go to the con all day Sunday. I'm in the car. I've probably somewhere in LA, not in Anaheim, but in LA. My phone rings. I look down at the screen and it says Colleen Doran on the screen as the caller. I left the con like a little too soon, as it turns out, on Sunday. But all in all, I would say that I had a B+ time at the show.
That's better than I thought. Cool.
Yeah. So B+ somewhere in there. Like I said, it's kind of it's not a great thing to listen to as a recap because I don't have a lot of events to report. But as far as a show where, like I said, I knew people who were there, so it was worth me going. For you guys, probably not worth it this year.
Yeah. So might have made the right call. I mean, to be honest with you, first of all, a lot of our artist friends were not going to be there. And then some of the A-listers were not going to be there. And then, just the lack of announcement. So, yeah, it was just too bad. I mean, I really was looking forward to going because I could just use a break to get out. But yeah, just combination of things made me go, yeah, maybe this is a pass. And
well, the other thing, Toby, that was different this year was it was for my first time ever at WonderCon in Anaheim, pouring rain. So
wow.
All of those gatherings, like out in that plaza outside the convention center, that was all now in the lobby. So it just was a whole different vibe. Like Friday was dead. And I'm saying that in a good way because I could browse all the comics booths. You could swing your arms in a circle like Wonder Woman. You could just spin and not hit anybody. It was amazing. Probably not amazing if you're trying to make money at your table, but I'm saying as a shopper, it was great. Yeah. Saturday was really busy. And then, like I said, Sunday I was there for maybe an hour.
This kind of sounds like our first fan expo in San Francisco. Not last year, but the first year.
Except it was better. It was better convention than that as far as things to do and look at.
That's cool. Nice.
Yeah, so there you go. I hope I teed you up for something exciting.
WonderCon is still a big con, but it is weird that it would just seem so quiet as far as the comic stuff that normally happens at WonderCon.
This year was definitely a standout in that way.
Yeah, it's not like WonderCon is a celebrity con. WonderCon has always been a comic book convention, right up there with like New York and San Diego and a few other big ones where Marvel and DC are local. They do, panels and there's news announcements and there was just zero, which is really weird. I mean, there's been less quote unquote news at comic conventions in the last decade or whatever, but it is still there's something. This was like you wouldn't even know WonderCon happened.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Well, first of all, 3 weeks before the con, most people didn't. I mean, unless you paid attention, you didn't know it was happening. When it happened, nobody knew it was happening. It was like really bizarre to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And this used to be, I shouldn't say used to be, it is geographically DC's home convention. And they're not there at all anymore. No, they used to have a huge presence at one. That was like they owned that con the way Marvel kind of owns NYCC.
Yeah.
And they've just...
Well, even like Marvel Studios is there, right? Yeah. So when they don't do the opposite D23, like they've had big presentations at WonderCon before.
Yeah, nope. So the only publisher who was there this year was IDW.
Oh, and IDW had some weird news.
Yeah.
yeah. That's just,
okay, but anyway, there you go. Right. I've queued you up. Take it away.
All right. Well, since me and Lane decided to pass on WonderCon, there's been something on my radar for years now, and for some reason or another, whatever it was WonderCon schedule or something else, I've never been able to do this. And then it was funny because I don't really pay attention to it because I always kind of just paid attention to it, but schedule-wise, things never really worked out. So come Saturday, I'm kind of looking through the phone, and I realized I could do this thing on Sunday that I've been wanting to do for years and never been able to do. So in San Francisco, they have, I want to say it's been a 22-year thing that they tradition that they've been doing is they have an event where they bring your own big wheel and you race down now Portero Hill, but it used to be Lombard Hill, like, the tourney roads. And this year I finally got to see it. I wanted to participate. I figure, in my older, more brittle age where, things don't heal as fast anymore, I should go check it out first before just blindly attending or participating in it. So this was a recon trip, and I will for sure attend next year because it is freaking amazing. All right,
Toby, do you own a big wheel?
Well, there's a thing called the Santa Clara Trash Day where everybody puts their trash out on the streets like in May. So I'm going to be driving down my neighborhood to see if I could find any big wheels. And, they're not meant to be like, like everybody's running down in kid ones. So I'm totally snatching up whatever I can get or Frankenstein something together because this event is freaking amazing. People dress up. People dress up as Mario Brothers. People dress up as whatever. There was like a couple dudes in like German lederhosen drinking beer as they're rolling down. There is. You
gotta go in full Mad Max gear with the flamethrower guitar and everything.
Yeah, you just gave me ideas because I totally would. There was this like older lady that was like a flower lady that was going down, like, and she was pretty impressive. Man, James actually posted about it too, and I'm so glad I finally got to experience it. Now it's a lot of people in a really, really small neighborhood. It's right next to a park. On the other side is residential, so it is actually kind of hard to get a good spot to see it. It took me a while to get to the front, but man, once I was, dude, this thing is amazing, and I'm totally doing it next year. Yeah.
Amazing.
There's
Amazing.
also in the Midwest. There's something called a Barbie contest. They all drive down those Barbie like Hot Wheels, the Barbie cars for kids.
Sign me up for that too. I'll do any of this shit, man. I'll be honest with you. Anything with hills and wheels, I'm down. Like, I'm totally down. Like I kind of want to do that what's it called, a Red Bull the fly day thing.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I do all the stupid things. But this one is local, so I'm looking forward to it next year. I'm totally gonna rummage my neighbor's trash freak and see what big wheels I can find, or even if I have to like glue it together and tuck together. I mean, these guys were going down, man. There's like things were flying. They eat it. They're knocking each other. Wheels were falling off. There's one guy who was going down with like 2 wheels, and like the one side was just scratching the floor. Like, yeah, oh my god, man, I'm so into it. I'm freaking.
So to make this comic book relevant, therefore something you could talk about on the podcast, you have to go as Big Wheel, the character, the Spider-Man villain. Oh. Go as Big Wheel, and then you're good. We'll talk about it.
All right, now as the first one, maybe. Although the Mad Max thing is very, very tempting. There was a little kid that went down, and he had like a beer can. And he was like drinking and like yelling at over, yeah! Pretty sure it wasn't real beer, but it was pretty damn funny when he did that, though.
Oh, Toby!
Oh, it's amazing.
Very funny.
I recommend everybody to show up for this thing. Everybody is smiling. Everybody had a great old time. No fights. Nothing. It was freaking awesome.
Glad you had fun. Hopefully, not the same weekend as WonderCon next year.
Yeah, that'd be a big decision, because I may have to leave on Sunday morning or Saturday night, because I think this is way more fun than WonderCon. And from what it sounds like, I may have made the right decision, because this was like one of my highlights of the year so far. I know it's still a pretty young year, but we are in April after all. But yeah.
Cool.
Well, you got some time. You got a year to build something.
Hell yeah.
So there you go.
Ryan, my next con is, as of now, is Heroes in North Carolina in June.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll have more material after that one for you.
Hopefully there's another like hill with big wheels on that.
Yeah, you need some other childhood vehicle activity, Toby, in June.
Absolutely. Maybe in North Carolina also. That'd be funny if I just show up and we do completely different things.
Well, Toby, you could just save up for San Diego now. So
they do have like. Nah, I don't have too many hills. I mean, it does go up a little bit downtown, like when you go like towards like the freeway over there. I have a little bit of a hill there, but it's straight. What's the fun of that?
I'm sure we could set something up at WonderCon or at San Diego for you.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Well, I have a bunch of random quick hit news stories from weeks and weeks that we haven't covered. Couple big, couple not so big, just fun stuff to talk about. But I'll go through these sort of random in order. If anyone has any thoughts, feel free to jump in.
Brock, you better time these. We can hit them all. Lightning round.
Oh no, it's all right. I'm just gonna get through some of these here. I know most of us on the podcast are big fans.
That's my only question.
No time limit.
Okay.
I know Toby's a big fan for sure. It is worth mentioning Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo's run on Nightwing does end soon. It ends at issue 114. They did announce that a little while ago. Yeah, and Toby's a big fan. I do like it. I generally do consider Nightwing one of my favorite DC books out right now, but I have felt a little. It has been spinning its wheels a little bit. I've had this complaint.
I was going to say that, like that one thing I don't like about it. It feels like it's a little slow at times. Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, this is a problem I've seen with a number of books, and a number of DC books, and I'm not sure if it's an editorial thing or a creative decision or kind of what the deal is. But a complaint I've shared before, maybe on this podcast, I mean, definitely with some customers, is I feel like a lot of writers kind of come in to some of these books with sort of like one story, and if their book goes for 5 years, is just kind of that same story for a lot of it, and it doesn't really move on to like another plot. And I felt this way with Nightwing a little bit. I like the individual issues, but I'm like, hasn't gone anywhere for a while. And the art's incredible. Bruno Redondo art is so good. The covers are so amazing.
Can he stay forever?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I hope this ends on a good note, because I have enjoyed it again quite a bit, but I'm ready for the next arc for Nightwing. Nightwing's always one of my favorite characters. And Tom Taylor's run has definitely been probably the most well received since like
Chuck Dixon.
Like the Dixon era, yeah.
I mean, this is my favorite since Chuck Dixon. So
yeah, really, it has. There's been good runs, but it's never quite clicked. The way those,
but yeah,
it was, the Kyle Higgins stuff was pretty good. And I liked,
wasn't your boy? Wasn't your boy on Grayson? Wasn't
Tom King.
Grayson's, Tom King co-wrote Grayson and with Tim Seeley. That's a little bit different. Grayson's kind of a different beast. I'd say this is, I'd say Grayson's a little bit better than this, but
doesn't count.
It's just different. It's just very different. Yeah. But no, it's a big deal, and I think it's a big deal because it's got to be one of the longest running creative teams currently on a comic. I mean, Tom Taylor's been on Nightwing for years, and that has not been the case for a lot of comics. It's pretty rare that creators last more than 12 issues on.
Didn't he start like in the 70s on that one?
Yeah. It's been
almost like 120,
3-4 years, maybe.
No, it's been on 5. If it's 5 years, because it's almost over 120.
Almost 5 years?
Yeah,
it has been. He's been on the book for quite a long time. Again, pretty rare in comics these days to be on a book for this long. So, a personal favorite. I'm kind of ready to move on, but I will miss his take. So,
I'm not a Nightwing fan, and I've been enjoying it. So,
yeah. I think it's big steps for the next creative team to take over. We'll have to see what they can do.
You need to get your Adams boy.
What's that?
They need to get your Adams boy.
Jeremy Adams?
Yeah.
He could be good. Yeah. I love Jeremy Adams. I'm not sure what he would. I'm not sure if his timing would probably be pretty decent. He'd probably be a pretty good Bat Family. Yeah. I thought this was interesting. So this came out. This came out a few weeks back, but I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this. There's been a lot of price increasing in comics, and I was pretty confident $4.99 was basically going to be the new standard very soon, right? It just seems like that's where it was going. But Marvel had made a comment before the last solicitation came out about that they are sticking with $3.99 for their price point for their traditional comics, which I was a little confused about because they're not. So I don't know if this is something that Marvel's going to be pulling back the price on some of their titles. It's about 50% are $4.99 or higher, and about 50% are $3.99. So I'm just not sure. Maybe post Blood Hunt, which is like the current big event they're doing. I keep an eye on this, see if Marvel does hold the line at $3.99. I thought it was an odd comment because I don't see it in the solicitations. But I would, people are very price sensitive these days for sure. 20 pages of comics for $5 is it's not cheap. With all the specials, big giant anniversary issues, any reason to do something to bump the price seems to be going on. So I like if they're selling a $4.99, great. But if it's just crap nobody cares about, I don't know. The $3.99 is going to be a big determining factor if you're just not interested in the book. I expect, and I've said this for quite a while, that I expect a $4.99 to be the standard for standard soon and probably for quite some time. But Marvel, at least publicly, is committing to $3.99 across the majority of their lines. So keep an eye out. We'll see. We'll see if they can actually hold to it. I'll kind of keep an eye on upcoming catalogs to see because the new ones, New one's already loaded. I think next week, because 24th. I'm looking at dates here. 24th should be previews released. So 19th, April 19th, we should have next Friday the catalog info. That'd be good.
I don't know.
Check on
Comic
that.
Hub's been having a pain in the butt time trying to search things.
Comic Hub, for sure. If you're one of our wonderful customers or a subscriber, or use Comic Hub at your local shop, they've had some back end problems. It's being worked on. There is. Whoa. What was
I don't
that?
know what the hell that was, but
that was a very. That was from you. Yeah. I mean,
where's your Comic Hub love now? Love the hub, huh?
I mean, I do love the hub, but they're having some real serious issues on the back end. It's been really slow, both on the regular website and the publisher. I mean, hey, this happens, right? It's web hosting sucks. Like it's tough.
I went to do FOC and last call for order and just FOC or next Wednesday items. Just looking at them, and it took forever to load on Friday.
Yeah, I know they said over the weekend they did a lot of updates and hopefully it's running better now. I still was having some slowdown, but
because I still haven't even done my initial because it was acting all weird.
We'll go through. I always go through with them and do some updates. So I will check back in during the week and check with Comic Hub and see if they've had any any fixes to that.
But the paper quality on the books is not going to improve at the higher cost.
Marvel, it's interesting.
Too, like Jesus.
Well, it's interesting, right? I've talked to my guys at DC, and I've mentioned this, and I've used Marvel as an example, and I've talked to people at Marvel. It seems very inconsistent, the paper quality of Marvel and DC, and Image too. I mean, this is an Image thing, and
Image I can understand because it's more the creators can select what they want sometimes with that stuff.
Yeah, IDW, Dark Horse, Marvel, DC, and most Image are using the self cover. So all the major publishers are using the self cover now, which is
horrible.
The cover page is the same page type of paper as the interior paper, and I like it from a color point of view. I find it takes the digital coloring significantly better than the pulpy paper Marvel or DC was using for a long time there. It's not quite as shiny as their glossy paper, but I think it's a nice middle ground. But it does make the cover stock feel kind of weak.
Oh, the cover stocks are weak.
Well, it's weird because there is an inconsistency as to what the comics feel like. This past week, books like Captain America, I think it was Superman 77,
78, yeah.
I was Superman 78. A couple of those books actually had like a light gloss cover, and they felt good, right? They felt sturdy. And then copies like Batman and Amazing Spider-Man, like they're horrible. They feel like they're going to fall apart.
Yep.
So and it's supposed to be the same. So I don't know if it's different printers have a different.
Well, all I can say is if you wanted that free Blood Hunt thing that Marvel gave you, it's on nice hard stock. It's a free thing with way more pages than a regular comic. But man, is the paper quality on that make it make sense why the free thing has the good paper and the comic books that we want to have that good paper don't.
I don't know.
The inside paper I could care. It's fine. It's whatever. Right? But that cover stock needs to be different, and it's not, and I fucking hate it.
It is just weird that they're inconsistent. And if it was all the same, I'd understand. But it's like, why is this one nice and why is this one crap? It's weird. But I actually do like the paper on a printed level because I find, especially the coloring, it takes a lot better. The digital coloring was really muddy on that paper DC was using for a few years there. Marvel and Image and Dark Horse and IDW have seemed fine. Something about the coloring just did not take on that paper they were using.
But again, inside it's fine.
Yeah, I prefer that, just not the covers.
Yeah.
Other completely nerdy back of the counter stuff that nobody cares about but us. This was something that came out of Comics Pro a few weeks back, and again, in theory, you should never notice this, but the difference this is going to make is huge. Comics Pro, which is a retailer organization for comic book store owners and the companies, they are working with Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, IDW, all the big publishers, Diamond, Lunar, and Penguin Random House, for what is called Comet Standard. It is a metadata standard to unify all the product information across all publishers and all suppliers, all vendors, all stores. So all stores are accessing the same type of information for every type of book, regardless of distribution or publisher. Now, again, this is something that you should never notice. As a customer, you should not think about this at all. But what happens on the back end, it's endless frustration on databases and like myself that goes in and edits a lot of the data in Comic Hub for all the comic stores, and organization, and just Diamond misspells every other creator's name. Right.
Yep.
And that data goes out to stores. And so stores will have two different creators, but two different spellings of the name, but it's the same creator in their database. Right. Mm-hmm. Page counts, descriptions, when the images are available. You're like, I never saw this cover. Yeah, because I never fucking published the cover before the book was published. We never got it. This seeks to solve that problem. Phrases like a and the being at the beginning of the sentence, from an organizational point of view, that screws up where products are in databases. Just in theory, again, you'll never notice this stuff, but you should have a better time searching your comic store, finding stuff in catalogs, finding stuff on Comic Hub, seeing cover art, finding out if creators are doing the books that you want.
Also, this just the goddamn year on the title of the thing. Like, exactly. Why is this not a separate thing that it pulls data from? Why does this have to be in the title?
When Marvel has an Edge of Spider-Verse miniseries every year, and they're all called Edge of Spider-Verse, like what
year?
Book is this? What year is this? What volume?
I had to pull an Amazing Spider-Man 31, and it was a $10 book, and I'm like, what the hell? Didn't have the year. Every other one around it had the year, but that one, and I'm like, how does this one not have the year?
Yeah, this should make every comic store's website, their internal organization, Amazon, Comixology, doesn't matter where you get your stuff. Comic Hub, Diamond print catalog, just a standardization across the industry for all these products. Because it is, if you use CLZ, this is going to help you. If you use if you use Comic Book Realm, if you use like any of the comic websites to track your comics, right? This is the type of backend data that they're getting that's incorrect. And this should automate across all of this, which is just, I cannot tell you how time consuming it is and how frustrating it is, both as someone that works with Comic Hub and as a retailer, to be like, well, who did this? Is this correct? Is this right? Is the spelling correct?
What volume of Spider-Gwen is this book?
Just all those questions. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them still, but Comet, if you see this reference, the Comet Standard. So it stands for something. What does it stand for? It's Comet. It's COMET. It stands for something. I don't have it here.
So is this also going to standardize the barcodes when it comes to
barcodes as well?
A, B, C, D? Because I'll look at it like a 6 on the barcode, and it's like, no, this is cover D. I'm like, but then why is it a 6?
All the barcode, so you can organize your comics. All that stuff is related. Yep, that's all part of it. So
people are like, what is he talking about? I'm like, the little thing at the end is the code for printing, number, and cover.
Yeah, if you ever look at the last 5 digits of a barcode on a comic book, it's supposed to be the 001 is issue number 1, right? The 026, that's issue 26, right? Printing and cover are the next 2 numbers. And so, like,
it's cover and then printing.
Yeah, it all means something, right? And so what happens if you have a cover with like 48 covers, you know? There is an organization to all this. Yeah, there definitely is.
I'm just kind of surprised. Like, what took so long for this to happen? Like, I thought this was done a while ago. I guess not.
No, because Diamond was the only game in town. It didn't matter. Everyone just used what Diamond did. And then you have Lunar and Penguin. So one of the biggest problems, again, this is all nerdy back end shit, but the frustration. Okay.
But then, like, I'm kind of curious, like, if that was the case, why didn't they just adopt the Diamond system then?
Because Diamond's shit. That's why.
Okay.
So here we go. Diamond uses an item code. If you ever see a creator talking about
their item code,
the item code for their comics, this is how you want to order the book with your local shop. They provide an item code. Now, in theory, item codes work for single issues because it's like a one-time thing, right? This code, it's the month, year, and a code. So, like, you know, April 24, 1234. That's attached to the single
item,
issue of a comic.
They just give everything gets an item number in order.
Right. Right.
That's the numbers in the previews, right?
Where it breaks, correct. Where it breaks is graphic novels. And here's what's happened, right? So you have a graphic novel that comes out. And okay, cool. It's December 99, number 1234. Excellent. Okay. You go to do a new printing that has a new barcode. That has a new item code, right? But here's the problem. Bookstores don't use item codes. Bookstores use ISBN. Now, an ISBN, if you're looking at a barcode, it's the first half of that barcode. There's a big piece and a little piece, right? The first half is the identifier of what the book is. The back piece is the price. So that's
These
what that
start
barcode.
With 978.
Comic books have generally started with 978. Yeah,
no, books do. All text stuff is 978.
Is it really?
Yeah. Trust me, I've entered enough stuff into Goodreads.
Yeah. I didn't know there was all books too. Maybe it's like the paperback
the organization
format.
On the book front is not any better.
Well, what happens is this. Penguin in the bookstores will get an update, so Watchmen is Watchmen. Watchmen is Watchmen is Watchmen. It's one book, whether it's the first printing or the millionth printing, right? Because it has an ISBN code. Diamond and Lunar now, they have 40 different item codes for Watchmen because every printing has a brand new barcode, the full barcode, but they don't sort by ISBN. So Diamond will have all these different variations of the same product, but it's actually just supposed to be an updated price. So like we get like the Calvin and Hobbes books, right? There's no item codes. There's no new item codes for that. It's the same code it's always been, but they're updated because they just update the price, they update the barcode, the ISBN stays the same, and it's calculated out forever. So if there's a new edition, a hardcover, some new special version, that's different. But just the main book, right? And it causes so much. Now multiply this across every single book in print, and then every single new book coming out every single month. The amount of time that stores have to deal with, is this the right version? Is this book available? Well, it's the same item. It's the same ISBN, but it's a different item code. What version am I ordering? What's the price? You multiply that across every customer. It is so fucking time consuming dealing with the differences between all the different publishers. This should, in theory, save a significant amount of time for everyone involved, from the distributors that don't have to deal with the multiple versions, to the retailers, to the customers. You just want to buy Watchmen. You don't want to look at our system and see 40 different versions and you don't know what to order, right? It really should help. Amazon has a way to filter this all down, right? The big chains can do this. Smaller chains, we really can't. It's just like, it's a new version of Watchmen, new barcode. It's such a pain. So I'm really hopeful. this helps because it should. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see. Again, more nerdy back end stuff, but this is the type of shit the store is going to deal with, and it's not a small deal. Like, this is a major deal, and I really hope it helps. Now, something you guys are going to have to deal with. I'm very glad Toby's here because I want his take. Did we not talk about The Crow? Did we not talk about the Crow trailer?
No, we didn't.
It's still on my notes. Toby, are you there? Are you done eating?
I thought we did.
Did we talk about The Crow?
Yeah,
I wasn't on the last one, so I don't.
Wasn't Leanne like part discussion from the background?
She's always in the background somewhere.
When we did it, shouldn't that trigger some memories in you?
Leanne yelling at me? No, it does trigger a lot of memories on me for sure. I look back. No, I don't see. No, we never talked about it.
I remember you talking about it being a mumble rapper.
Did we talk?
I really do. See,
did we talk
about it right now? It feels like
it's not on my list. It's not on my notes.
No,
I mean,
deja vu right now. I think we did.
It's on my list. Sorry, it's on my list, and it's on none of the topic lists.
We talked about it. That like the new guy looks like a dude that the Crow would kill in the first 5 minutes.
Maybe we did.
And then Leanne actually likes it, and you like think it's horse shit.
Did we just not talk about this over the phone?
I don't know.
Was it not on the podcast?
Maybe it was after.
Was it on the phone?
Yeah, we spent like 2 hours on the phone talking about The Crow. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast.
You talked about Crow for 2 hours?
Oh, we did. We talked about The Crow for longer than the Crow movie.
That would have been enough for a conspiracy special.
Yeah.
Just
start recording your phone calls.
2 hours on the phone. Yeah, we spent 2 hours. I'm very sure we talked about this on the phone. I don't think we talked about this.
I think you're right.
Well, if you would like to relay any of your thoughts to the humble listeners about your thoughts on the Crow trailer,
so I think
get your take.
Both you and me like the Crow for different reasons. I think, I was never part of.
Yeah, as a card carrying goth member, I have to like the Crow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right?
My people. I do it for the culture.
Well, I don't think I'm a goth guy. At least I don't think so. Even though some of them girls look mighty.
You like Wednesday? Yeah, get out of here.
But I'm not a goth guy, right? But The Crow was a big movie for me. And then I had a big significant. I mean, it was just huge for me. It's like Batman, Ninja Turtles, The Crow. It was just huge. So. Over the years when they were going we're gonna redo this, we're gonna bring it back, and some of the actors they were picking were kind of like, what are you smoking kind of deal. I want to say DMX was once part of it. I want to say was it Marky Mark was part of it at one point. Man, some of these were like eye-rolling bad choices. I think Luke Evans was at one point gonna be the Crow. And I was like, at that point, I was like, him I could kind of see this doing this if they're redoing like the original. My main gripe I have of this trailer, if it's so different than the original, if it's so different, why make it Eric Draven? Like, I would have so much less of a problem with this trailer if it was someone else, because they have established in the other Crow movies that there's other. How do I call them? Crows, I guess. People that come back from death. So I would have been perfectly fine with this version of it if it wasn't Eric Draven, because to me, Eric Draven has an image in my head that doesn't change. So that they drastically went away from that. And I look, every filmmaker, every version, every artist want to do their own take on things, which is totally fine with me. But don't make it Eric Draven. That's my only gripe. On the other hand. I'm a little torn on the trailer. I think there's some really, really interesting things that are in the trailer for a Crow movie. Like, there is some really cool fight sequences I'm actually looking forward to. And there's stuff that totally turns me off on it. Like, I think the villain looks fucking stupid. And, I think the original just had the right amount of cheese that made it so special. Like, every line that they said, even though, maybe cheesy for a current generation, it hit hard. Like, victims aren't real, can't rain all the time. Like, I mean, these lines, when he said it in the movie, like, the images come back to your head, and they were just huge. So the Crow just kind of put a lightning in a bottle in such a way that I don't think could ever be properly replicated. So I don't mind a new version. I just wish it wasn't Eric Draven. That's all. I'm gonna watch it. I don't know.
You and Leanne can go. How about that?
I'm so much more excited for that 4K Blu-ray to come out and watch it on 4K. Like, I'm more and more excited for that than I am for the new Crow. I don't want to hate against it until I fully watch the movie. But yeah.
No, the trailer, every single frame of that looks like absolute horseshit. It looks horrible top to bottom. But like you said, I would
Bryce versus Higgins.
if look, I haven't seen it, but I already hate it. Okay, that's my Bryce impression. If his name wasn't Eric Draven, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. It's another shitty Crow movie. I have to pay attention to this because there's been like 12 of them already. Like, they're all just nothing. Like, it's okay, whatever. Endless Crow stuff. That's not the Crow. Fine, whatever. Do whatever you want. It's the fact that it's supposed to be Eric Draven. Yeah. It's the fact that it's supposed to be the Crow. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's just not the Crow.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to make this random dude a Crow from the whatever from today. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm totally fine with it. Totally fine.
Don't call him Eric Draven, and I have no problems.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the problem. It's such a baffling decision. Leanne will disagree, and other people will disagree. But I think I don't even think the Crow is good. I think the Crow is fantastic. I think it holds up. I think it was such.
I think it holds up too. I mean, I do.
Yeah,
I fucking love that movie. I love that movie. Like, scenes of that movie play in my head all the time.
I do too. It is. It might just be one of those you kind of had to be there sort of things, but it to me it's just this sort of perfect short. It gets in, it gets out. It does what it's trying to do. It's not apologetic. The action's good. The soundtrack's fucking phenomenal.
How many of you listen to this soundtrack after you?
Oh my god, it's one of the greatest Cure songs of all time. On that track, the Crow Like Dream, right? Such a good song.
Carrying all the time.
Burn, yeah. Crow Like that's like the main part of the song. Killer soundtrack. Totally hit me at the perfect time in my life.
How did it come to you? Like, I'm kind of curious. I'll tell you my story in a second, but how? I mean, you were a comic book guy to begin with. Like, I mean, so was I, but this didn't come to me in a comic book kind of way. I mean, I found out later it was a comic book.
So 84 or 94 would have been like
the end of our freshman year.
That was
start of our sophomore year.
Yeah, I was just here. I had moved here. I wasn't like full goth yet, but this was clearly one of the This is clearly one of the stepping stones.
You're over the edge of being full goth.
Oh, this was one of the. This is one of the things.
Like,
yeah.
Ryan
sure.
in high school was like,
and 94 would be. And 94 would be right prior to me getting like really back in the superhero stuff, because I would become like JLA like 96, right? So I was definitely, this was my 100% Vertigo independent era comic reading, right? This is when I had stepped aside from Marvel and DC. I mean, I was reading Vertigo stuff, but like, Sandman, right?
Yeah.
Hellboy, Sin City, all that type of stuff. The Crow, right? So like I knew the comic. It was like the perfect time for me. This was when that original Crow movie came out. Yep.
Now, were you aware of the comics beforehand, or you just went?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, for me, I was in high school. I was hanging out with this kind of a rocker dude. I wouldn't say he was goth, but more like a long hair. The holes in the jeans kind of dude. Like, I was hanging out with this guy named John Jolly, and we were hanging at his house, and he was like, for some reason this came up. And he was like, "Have you watched it?" I'm like, "No." And he goes, "But you like superhero stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, this is a little different." Then he hands me the VHS tape, and he goes, "You should just watch it." And I went home, and I was like one of those, like, I think it happened with the Boondock Saints also, where I just watched the thing, go, holy shit, I need to watch it again. I just kind of rewound the tape and just watched the whole thing again because it was that magical. Yeah.
You didn't see it in the theater?
No.
Saw it after it came
It
out.
was a VHS that got handed to me. John just like handed it to me. He goes, "You must watch this." And I'm like, "All right." I've never even heard of it before then. I've never even knew about it before then. I just took the tape, watched it.
I have to look up and see when the VHS came out, because remember, this is the time period where, movies weren't available streaming 30 days after the movie hit the theater, right? It was probably 95.
Yeah, it would be my guess. Because it might have even been later. I might have been later.
VHS was 94, 95.
Yeah, but it might have been later for me, because 95 I just moved here. So 96 sounds a little more right. Again, the movie could have been out for a year, right? This guy had it already in his.
Yeah.
So I think I probably watched in 96 is my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would have been probably. I don't think it would. I don't think I would have been out already. Start of school year 94. So I'm wondering if it was start.
It was just at the start of sophomore year, because it came out September 14th, 1994.
No, but when did it come out on VHS?
Yeah, that was the release date for it on VHS.
Because
it came out on VHS September 94?
Yeah, September 94.
Okay, then it was September 94.
Yeah.
Because, I saw it in the theater, but I watched that probably every day when I got home from high school.
Holy shit.
For 6 months. Every day.
Well, you know what's funny is I never made the golf connection until years later. Ryan fucking keeps talking about golf stuff. I'm like, wait, this is golf related? What?
Yeah. Well, because
Ryan,
Leanne's giving me this grimace.
Be honest. In those 6 months of watching it every day, be honest here. Did you ever put on crow makeup and pose in front of the mirror at home?
No. I don't I never did the white face paint shit.
Okay.
No. But I got a trench coat immediately.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He had hair, trench coat, and all of it, but the face paint was where he drew the line.
So the year before, I watched Jurassic Park every day when I get home from school on VHS. So it was
movies, my friend.
It was either what do they call it? Paleontologist or goth.
Yeah.
It was going to go one of those two directions.
Why not combine them?
Well, and so the thing was I also I personally enjoyed City of Angels because it came out in 96.
That's the second one,
right? That's the second one. And it's not as good as the first one, but it has kind of a different feel to it.
Was it not the one about where that girl in the first movie grew up and it's her boyfriend that dies?
I believe so, yeah.
Angel.
And it was Kristen Dunst, isn't it?
No, you're thinking of
the third one?
The third one?
I'm mixing things up. Because I even think
City of Angels is the one that had Iggy Pop and Richard Brooks.
I never saw the others. I think I only saw the second one once.
Yeah, I like the second one. I don't remember I think I saw one of the other ones.
Master Chef in one of them. The chef master. What's his name? Mark.
What?
Yeah, the
Master Chef.
Yeah, the guy from Brotherhood the Wolf. Mark.
Dacascos?
The Iron Chef guy.
I don't remember.
Chairman.
I have no idea. I know Iron Chef.
So there's it was City of Angels.
Iron Chef a crow?
No,
City of Angels 96. City of Angels was 96. Salvation was 2000, and Wicked Prayer was 2005.
Yeah, no.
I
never saw
on some of them. Yeah, but I more than made up in watching the original. But I was a Brandon.
The first two are connected.
Yeah. I knew who Brandon Lee was beforehand watching that movie, but even when John gave me the copy, I was like, well, that looks like some creepy ass shit. I'm not sure I want to see this. But then when I watched it, I loved it.
Well, that was, I was, a comic fan, and I knew this was coming. Brandon Lee's death was that was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
It was before the movie got released, right? That was, you think of Heath Ledger, right? Brandon Lee was, it was the same. It wasn't the same. I won't say it's the same level of.
This is also a little pre-internet. It was pre-internet. Right?
Yeah.
So I knew he died. I knew he died on a movie. I made the connections later. I was like, wait, they actually finished the movie. It didn't all connect right away for me. Yeah.
I remember it being a big deal. but I was, I was never like super tuned into like entertainment news, but I definitely into the comic stuff. I was paying attention. So yeah,
as a non-golf, I have a Crow movie poster on the wall. I like, I just love it. Yeah.
I don't even have a Crow movie poster.
Yeah, man.
That's great.
Fake off.
I did see The Cure before Burn when they played last year. That's good. I've never seen them play that live before.
Funny, right? You have all these connections with the music. I do not. For me, it's just the movie, right? So
there's a band in there called My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, and they have one of the best songs on the soundtrack. And at that point, I'd never heard of them. And when I started to hear their real albums, I'm like, this is so different than the song that they have on the Crow soundtrack. It's really weird.
Oh wow!
I really like them, but it's a very different song. So I was like, I'm not sure where the hell this came from.
I may have to go back and listen to the soundtrack now just to understand Ryan Higgins a little better.
Soundtrack is so good.
Speaking of VHSs and watching them over and over, do you know which VHS was the was the movie that I watched over and over and over and over, which might explain me very much so.
Turtles.
No.
I was going to say, it's got to be Turtles, right?
Well, that one I wore out, but there was another movie that I watched over and over.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Huh? Nope.
Weekend at Bernie's.
No, it explains how I talk.
I don't know. Some Jackie Chan movie or something? Rush Hour?
Bad Boys, man.
Oh, I saw the trailer for that new Bad Boys.
Oh, dude, it looks amazing. It actually looks good again. I really was a big fan of the last one, but man, dude, I bought a used copy of Bad Boys at the Blockbuster, and I watched that fucker like over and over and over and over.
That's how you learned English, from Bad Boys?
Yes, and this also explains why the F word is every second word I say now. I thought it was how normal people talk. Sorry, everybody. Blame Will Smith and Martin Lawrence for it.
Well, before we get out of here, one other story I want to cover. We've been waiting for this for a long time. We've got our first details of how Ryan's going to go bankrupt and live in a house made out of comic book boxes. We got our first.
You have plenty of those.
We got our first. I'll just move it to the warehouse. It's fine. We got our first.
You'll need to get a bigger one.
Don't worry about it. I'll make room. That's just the comic boxes to the ceiling and just sleep on it. It's like, it's great. It's an awesome bed. We got the first details of what's going to be DC Finest, DC's version of the Marvel Epic line. Now, there's actually a couple others that have been unofficially announced since this list went up. I think there's an Aquaman one. Stuff shows up like on the book selling sites. So some info not yet available, but I'll stick to the stuff that we do have some good info here for. So yeah, obviously I'm a big fan of the Epic Collections. We've talked about it for years, and really looking forward to DC doing this version. So they are a little recap from previous episodes. The DC is doing kind of character-based lines. So although Marvel has Amazing Spider-Man, and it does include non-Amazing Spider-Man issues, it hasn't really collected like Web and Spectacular and all that stuff. It is believed that those are going to be separate books, because they obviously have them numbered. DC has like years on the back, so there's going to be like
a year. About the Superman announcement yet?
Which Superman announcement?
The Triangle Omnibus.
That's the Omni. That's one of the things that just got announced too. Yeah. They're going to do the Triangle era Omnibus.
Oh, man, I love Triangle era.
80s, 90s. Yeah, big fans of that. That's all the Superman stuff leading up to Death of Superman. So.
Yeah.
That should be 2 omnibuses, and then Death of Superman should be volume 3 of that. But the first batch of everything that we got is Wonder Woman, Origins and Omens, which is all the Gail Simone Wonder Woman volumes. Batman Year 1 and 2, which is all the which is Batman 404 to 414, as well as all the Detective Comics in there for Year 2. Superman, Coming of Superman, which is all the which is Golden Age Volume 1, which would collect Action Comics 1 through 25. Catwoman Lifelines, which has the Catwoman the post Year 1 Catwoman stories, as well as the first batch of the Jim Ballant 93 Catwoman series. So these are all pretty complete collections of these books. So those had been announced before. I think maybe the Catwoman had Flash, the Human Thunderbolt. So that's the first Silver Age volume. So that's Flash 105s, the showcase issues. But stuff we have not heard before: Justice Society of America. So this is going to be, I don't think this is this begins with the earliest story starring the JSA. We don't have issue numbers yet. I don't know if they're doing Golden Age or the first half or the back half of the Golden Age JSA. So this would be the equivalent of the first couple volumes of the All-Star Comics archives. Justice League of America, the Bridge Between Earths. So that's that should be mid. Maybe volume 1 of the Silver Age Justice League, maybe volume 2.
I have a question. I don't want to interrupt you, but I have a question.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So what worries me about all of these is they seem to be all volume 1s.
Well, no. So that they're not, right? So they're not. So there's Legion, the superheroes. Zap Goes the Legion, which is Jim Shooter era. So that's not volume 1 of Legion. So that's in the run. They have the first of their DC events, which is 0 Hour Part 1. So the 0 Hour Omni is basically getting split into 2 books. At least, it looks like 2 books.
That's far easier to read. That Omni is a thick one.
Yeah, and then Green Lantern, the defeat of Green Lantern, which, again, this says... just because this just says the defeat of Green Lantern. Okay, never mind. It doesn't say earliest, so I believe this would be like the second volume of the Silver Age Green Lantern stuff. So they're not numbered the way the Marvel books are numbered. They're going to have like the years that the books cover in the background. So like with Catwoman, right? Catwoman covers 88 to 93, basically every solo appearance of that character, including backups in the Action Comics issues that she was in. Action Comics 111. I'm trying to remember what the cover on that is.
I kind of wish that was just a
or Action Comics 611. Oh, it's the backup in Action Comics Weekly. Yeah. So it's the so it is all like their stories. It's not every appearance, right? But it is like the Flash book is going to have every appearance in the Justice League, obviously, but it's going to be every Flash appearance. And in theory, these continue past that. So Golden Age, Silver Age, Barry Allen, Wally West, they'll all continue as one run. We'll see when they get to that. But there was an Aquaman that collects some of the Silver Age Aquaman books in there. There was another volume that got announced.
I actually like Silver Age Aquaman.
There was another modern one.
Wait, might have been Bronx. Sorry. Might have been Bronx.
Yeah, it's not come to me. I'll have to take a look.
You know what's scary about all of this is with the Epic Collection, I've realized, like, and this is no offense to any of the modern stuff that's going on, because there's some really, really good stuff. There's something nostalgic about the old books, and in collecting the Epics, it's been fun to just like revisit these old friends, so to speak.
Oh yeah,
stories.
Yeah.
And it's like a comfort spot. So this DC stuff, man, it's worrisome because I feel like it's going to be the same thing. It makes like comic collecting all fun again by almost restepping through the old stuff. So I've been enjoying collecting the Epic collections more so than I have than like the modern single issue stuff, which is a really good business model for them, because instead of like $5 a book, I'm buying things at like $30 and $40 a book.
Yeah. Oh, here's some info. So I actually did join a DC Finest group, and they've been doing some really good jobs, kind of keeping track of what's coming up, but also the issues that they believe are going to be collected in some of these where it's not been announced. Justice League Bridge Between Earths, again, based on the way some of the previous collections have gone. They believe this is going to be Justice League of America 46 to 65. So that batch there. So not volume 1. So that should actually be volume 3 of Justice League. Justice Society does seem like it's All-Star 1. Defeated Green Lantern should be 23 to 48 of Green Lantern. So that should be volume 2. Legion of Superheroes should be Adventure Comics 373 to 380. A couple issues of action. And then the Superboy in the Legion 197 to 200. So that's again that's pretty far into the run. Aquaman King of Atlantis is the Aquaman backups from Adventure Comics 167 to 280, because he was part of Adventure Comics for a long time. Supergirl, the Girl of Steel, Toby, here you go, 1959 to 1963.
Oh, yeah.
Action Comics 252 to 302. So that should be that's the next volume. Aquaman King of Atlantis and Green Arrow, the Longbow Hunters. Should be Longbow Hunters 1 through 3. Green Arrow.
Oh man, those long.
So the first half, the first half of the Omni.
That Omni is a big one too. Oh man, any of those big omnibuses are maybe easy replacements.
All those are going to be cut in half. That's basically how these.
Well,
are
they should be because even a half, they're maybe a little too big.
Yeah. So I'm doomed.
I'm a sucker because I'm going to read all this shit already.
I think we're all doomed on some level.
I mean, I got a lot of epics, but oh boy, DC, you know how to sell a bunch of comics to me for sure.
Yep. So when this is starting, I better do a vacation before all of this because I may never go on vacation again.
November, maybe we'll see him at Comic-Con. I'm hoping to have a preview of Comic-Con. I'd love to get my hands on one.
Oh man.
So for modern ones or more modern ones, are they going to include one-shot anthologies?
So we don't know, right? I mean, the way the Catwoman one looks, I would think so. I don't know that you mean like every random anthology story.
Yeah, for example, like the DC Christmas specials, the DC samplers.
So
a special book coming out too.
Finest is only going through up to New 52.
Okay.
So there would be like the Secret Files and Origins, right? DC or Batman's going to have a fucking billion with all their tie-ins and specials, right? But how do what do you do with, do you have a Batman book that's just Batman, and then you have the No Man's Land event book? Are those issues doubled up, right? I don't know. We haven't gotten that point yet. So will all the 0 hour issues be in their books the way they should be? Or are they just going to put them in 0 hour? We don't know. I would like them in the books where they should be, but then you end up with basically an entire Batman volume that's the Batman tie-ins to No Man's Land without any of the other parts of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No Man's Land should be read as No Man's Land, sadly.
Yeah, so there's questions. We're not sure that they're not at that point. And really, Marvel hasn't gotten to this point either, right? I mean, they haven't fucking touched.
Well, they did Operation. They did that Operation one.
Galactic Storm.
But as an Avengers issue, I don't think they've reprinted those issues of Thor and Iron Man and Cap. I don't think any of those volumes have come out.
I thought they did.
I'd have to look. That have those issues?
I think so.
Yeah, I'd have to look. And because it gets real messy as it goes on.
Yeah.
I want to say like the Thor stuff from was it X Factor? Was in the Omnibus, but I could be totally wrong.
Yeah. Omnibus might just go straight through.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. Really
aren't we all?
Kevin's gonna get some of these. He's playing it cool, but I know he's gonna.
This is totally up in Kevin's alley.
But I already have some of that material, or a lot of that material, in other books. So of this first wave, there's probably maybe 3 to 5 of them I'm interested in.
Yeah,
we'll see what's still coming.
Still, that's not zero.
Right, no,
they're still getting our money.
Yeah. What's coming is everything.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. Oh, and related. So there's other stuff that they're doing, right? So they announced the Wildstorm, the first 2 of the Wildstorm compendiums. So they're doing other editions as well. So the first Wildcats compendiums coming out, which should be the first 3 years or so.
Oh,
and
really?
And the Stormwatch Warren Ellis compendium. So that should be the back half of Stormwatch. Leading up to Authority and Planetary. So, they haven't collected. Did they ever collect the non-Ellis Stormwatch stuff? Did they ever trade paperbacks of those?
Yeah, there's trades of all the Warren Ellis stuff.
Of the non-Warren Ellis stuff.
Some of it got collected.
But there's a huge gap in the middle that's missing.
Yeah. So what I think one more compendium would finish off either way. The original runs, but
yeah, a lot of the fans are waiting for the holes to be filled.
Talking
Like,
compendiums
especially-
reminds me.
Stormwatch and Wildcats, the middles are all gone.
Yep,
and then
yep.
these are all they've been collected in foreign editions already. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
So they're just reprinting the foreign editions in English finally.
Well, so there was a couple months back. I saw there was a scalped omnibus that was out in France, I think it was in France, and then that got picked up here too. So yeah, it's they do it in lots of different areas. It's not like it's limited.
I got my scalp deluxes. I'm good.
Yeah, they're gonna. That's back in print for the first time in years. So.
Oh, I know. If you have not read it, read it.
Yeah, if you can track them down or pick up that Omni Scalps, one of the best. I think one of the best later day. Definitely one of the best later day Vertigo books. Yeah.
And early Jason Aaron. So.
Yeah. Well, early. I mean,
it's
the
early part of his career. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful podcast. Thank you all very much,
Ryan.
Oh, you something?
1 minute. I think it deserves a shout out. Mark Bright.
Yeah.
Mark Bright, who passed away.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what?
Longtime DC Marvel milestone artist.
Yep. Let me hold on. Probably on my list way down at the bottom because I didn't get to anything from this last couple of days. There he is. Yes. MD Bright, known Mark Bright. Big fan myself from his work with Christopher Priest on Quantum Moody and Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Passed away this would be I think it'd be last week, so on March 27th, 68 years old. I wanted to take away so much of the attention at the beginning of the podcast. Right. Very different sort of passing. I don't had he been doing?
No, I think that's why that news story kind of went under the radar, because he seemed to have kind of I don't want to say disappeared, but certainly receded. I think of him as like Emerald Dawn, Action Comics Weekly, like all of that late 80s, early 90s era. It's kind of, to me, his prime time. Yeah,
when I saw him, it was when he kind of was doing more stuff, the later stuff with Christopher Priest. So that was all the Quantum Moody and Black Panther. Well, who did? I can't remember who did Emerald Dawn. Who wrote that?
Isn't that Gerard Jones?
Is it? Yeah. So Black Panther. But Quantum Woody was the book. That was one of my favorite books, and that was coming out. That's that second batch of Valiant titles, and one of my favorites.
Oh, but Priest did Emerald Dawn, I think, at the start, but under his other name.
I have to go look.
Edit all this out so we sound smart. Is it a Jim Owsley?
Yeah. Did he do?
I think he did the first issue, and then Gerard Jones took over after that.
Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I can't remember. For me, it's Quantum and Woody. That's
anyway. Just as a longtime creator, I thought he deserved a shout out.
Yep, for sure. Young too, 68, way too young. Don't like that. Unfortunate, but Quantum Moody, they did some compendiums, and there was an omnibus that collected all that. With the new Valiant, I wonder if they would put that out in like a cool compendium or something, because I did like that.
I don't know about the new Valiant Alien books.
We'll see. Yeah, I'd love to see.
They tried to do that. Buy a $9.99 book from us. So no.
Oh, they've already stopped that.
and after that, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it didn't work.
I'm done, Valiant.
Yeah. All right. We will now wrap up. Thank you all very much. Thank you especially to Edward at geekyvillain.com, Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson at the Executive Evolution Podcast, and Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast. Thank you for your continued support, as well as at Patreon, as well as everyone else at patreon.com/comicconspiracy. You can go to comicsconspiracy.biz, buy some stuff from us there. My guy Kevin,
I got
not this Kevin, other Kevin, my warehouse Kevin.
DJ Heaven.
We are on back issues, baby. I mean, stuff has been going up slowly. Not DJ Heaven, yeah. Stuff's been going up, and I've been putting stuff up randomly, but we are now putting up back issues. So again, the big stuff is still going to be at the shop, but we're starting to hit that 80s or 80s, 90s.
Oh no!
Even late 70s stuff on the site.
Oh
so
no!
a lot going up.
Oh no!
A lot going up on. Oh, why, you need some issues? Filling some stuff?
No, that's I gotta stay away.
You can also go to meanwhileanthology.com, find the book that myself and Kevin and everyone else at this podcast, Toby and Brock and Lane, worked on for our anniversry last year.
And plenty of more talented people.
And also really good people worked on that as well. Yeah, some big comic creators chipped in on that book, so super happy with that. We have copies at the shop. You can also buy it from other locations at meanwhileanthology.com. You can go to conspiratorbrock.com, see Brock's video, pull this up there. You're not posting all your live streams of Helldiver? Just all your Helldiver live streams? Just you
so
and
much
the bros?
shit I'd have to set up. But man, we obliterated the automatons, let me tell you. Oh,
that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
It's for democracy, baby.
Charlie,
I literally played before we recorded.
I know you did. You're going to play when you're done recording.
I don't know.
You do is play Helldiver
I did the
now.
daily, and I helped out on one thing, and I'm like, might be good for the night. I got to go to bed.
Our good friend Charlie does Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. It's Doctor Who podcast. He'll be back on someday soon. Kevin has the interview series called Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com and a page I love at Comic Art Live on YouTube, where he talks with a comic creator about a page of comic art that they love. Really cool series. Go check that out. And my wife Leanne is at leannehill.com, and you can find her art at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt, and you can also purchase that from the store from us as well. And if you are on Blue Sky, I'm Ryan Higgins. Brock is Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. Never posts. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp.
I do have stuff to pimp out.
Yeah. And on Twitter, the store is still ComicsCon store. Don't look at that too often these days. Well, except this past week, it was really fucking bad. So there's another reason.
Oh, Twitter is a hellscape. I'm still on it, and it's a hellscape. Like, I'm not on it a lot. I like go check in. I'm like, hey, what's garbage fire today? Okay, and then I turn around and leave.
Yeah. No Geekbox last week. Ryan Scott was super sick. He's been sick for like a month, but we should record next week, so I should have an episode of Geekbox up next week. Toby, something to plug?
Yeah. So,
what you got?
If you're in Hatesville, near Baltimore, Maryland, Future Generation, the music video, is part of the Soul for Real Film Festival on April 21st. So, public screening there if you're interested. And if you're for some reason a listener on the island of Cyprus, Damn Thing is going to be at the Cyprus Music Video Film Festival on April 27th. I doubt anybody from Cyprus is listening to us, but just in case, I figure I might as well announce it.
You can add Toby at the videos that you worked on. Sky.
And these are the music videos you worked on.
Well, these are my two produced and directed music videos. Yes.
Fantastic. Good luck. How many people live on the island of Cyprus?
I don't know. It looks gorgeous.
You can Google it.
It looks gorgeous.
Yeah. That's no fun. It's better to ask.
I don't know, man.
You can ask Google.
Nah, there's just going to be some AI-generated bullshit answer that's not real.
Yeah. It looks gorgeous, though. That's why I submitted to it. And
nice.
And
you didn't go? You're not going?
Dude, it's
take a trip?
Trying to figure it out right now. I'm actually thinking about doing a crappy Frontier flight that gets me from here to Washington, D.C., because I have a friend I could stay there with, and it's like 30 minutes away from Hatesville, so I could go hit up that film festival. Then I'm thinking about jumping on a train to get to New York, so I stay with my sister for a night. Then I'm thinking about jumping on a plane to get to London, to stay there a night, and then from London, I'll go over to Cyprus, stay there a few days for, just to see the island and the film fest, and then get back to London, get back to New York, get back here somehow. That's the master plan right now.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a good
plan. But it's coming up, man. It's like in 10 days, so I have to figure it out real fast. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know right now.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Is this it?
And thank you, everyone. Oh, good.
Yeah, Ryan? Is that gasoline I smell?
What? Yes. I get it. I
Match
understood
in the
that
gas
reference.
tank. Boom, boom.
Thank you all, everyone, for listening to this wonderful podcast. We'll catch you in a week or two. Goodbye.